Very good afternoon, everyone. Charles here again of Fergrant Daily Chart Analysis. Tuesday, the 11th of November, 2025, 13:13 current time here in Milano. So that would be roughly 12:15 London. Here we are, chart GBP US dollar. We've just managed the position at the 4-hour 50 EMA for reasons of which I will go into in a moment. But the chart breakdown is what I believe the majority of you will be here for. So let's get straight to it. So bottom right hand corner, as always, the weekly time frame. To be quite honest, from this weekly chart, I did not get any confluence at all in regards to reasoning behind why I look to take this position. I am aware that my higher probable short positions will come from that weekly 50 EMA on the retest, or potentially up at the ultimate highs of that daily 50 EMA. Nevertheless, we are in a long position on GU at this time. So let me break down reasons in which that position was taken. So nothing on the weekly time frame, as I said. In terms of the daily time frame, that's where the confluence began. And that's what we then superimposed across those lower time frames, as I always say, to gain the confluence and then to trade with confidence is becoming my little motto of late. So what did I mark and what can I see on that daily time frame? So let's broaden it out. In fact, let's just do that. So bigger picture stuff, we can see that price is respecting that daily 50 EMA. In terms of the lows, we have an order block down at those previous weekly lows. Again, that's a daily order block, and that would be where, to be quite honest, my higher probable long position will be coming from on GBP US dollar. However, as I always say, as an intraday trader, if price action aligns, and thankfully my setup is there, also I will take that position if the facts make sense. So in terms of the here and now, daily time frame, previous daily candle highs and lows were focused upon. And what I could see coming to the chart is that the lows of the previous day in terms of wicks were met. So that wick was filled, giving me the indication that, okay, if the daily range has already met its low, potentially it should not go any lower. And the fact that the previous daily highs were still available, then that would give me some additional certainty that if I am going to take a long position, I need to get in at the bottom, so buy from the absolute lows, and in turn short from the highs. So in terms of buying from the lows, in terms of looking at the previous daily candle wick, I know that that area has been filled. So the current daily candle, I expected to come into that previous daily low area, find some rejection, of which we have found on that 4-hour order block, which we'll go into in a moment. I expect that candle then to push bullish, flip bullish, and potentially by the close of business today, we shall have a candle like so, if you'll excuse my illustration. So nevertheless, in terms of the here and now, as I always say, previous daily low, current candle has wicked into that area. So we superimpose that into the lower time frames, and next along is that 4-hour time frame. So if I enlarge that for you all, so we can take a deeper look into it. So previous daily low in and around that area, we came to the chart and price was already trending below it. We also have a wick imbalance on that 4-hour time frame as well, just to mark, to give us a gauge of where we can foresee price potentially to go down to again if a retest were to occur. But nevertheless, also we can see that price previously was respecting that 4-hour 50 EMA. As price was coming down up and towards it, found some rejection, and price continued bearish. In the immediacy, what we can say, just based on basic price action, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and this move here created a higher high. Then I was then expecting, after a higher high, a higher low creation, before continuation higher high into an area of which I am now foreseeing potentially a turnaround from that weekly 50 EMA. Nevertheless, again, the here and now current 4-hour 50 EMA, the previous 4-hour candle closed bearish underneath it. So again, in terms of immediate reaction as an intraday trader, I expect on the lower time frames that price comes up into that 4-hour 50 EMA, perhaps breach it somewhat, but I am expecting some form of rejection before potentially a continuation. Hence the management at this time. Nevertheless, price had created us a 4-hour order block, of which, let me narrow there for you. There is the 4-hour order block that price initially dipped into. And we'll go down for the lower time frame, specifically that 15-minute time frame, to see what happened. So here's the creation of that 4-hour order block, and refined within that 4-hour order block, we have a 15-minute order block as well. Also to note on this chart, we have a perfect Asia range setup, and that is the play that I was going for today. So as London opened, dipped into that 15-minute order block, as well in terms of additional confluence, we have that 4-hour wick imbalance creation and also the retest of that. As well as that, we know we're in that previous daily low wick area. So we're expecting at some point potentially a reaction from that area. And what did we get? Exactly that. So again, as I always say, if you are busy and you must set limit orders, then this would be an absolutely fine trade to take based on the confluence that you have built already. However, with that said, you just do not allow yourself the additional confluence to be taken, since once price comes into this area, it is incredibly bearish. Nevertheless, what did I do? So I didn't want to take that initially on a tap, since I'm trading at the screens today. Now going down to that 5-minute time frame, looking as always for a break of structure just to add that cherry on top of the cake before looking to take the position. In the immediacy, I'd isolated this 5-minute structure that, as we can read basic structure, lower low, lower high, lower low potentially created, and then we had a break of this immediate structure here. Now that today was enough for me, based on the fact I was also looking at EG shorts. EG short wasn't really providing much for me in terms of confluence for the trade, but my theory was that if the pound is now looking to strengthen from an area, potentially we can see that strength come through in EG, pushing EG down as the pound strengthens. Now I am in 2 positions currently on EG. Roughly around about the same time I had anticipated that rollover on EG was when I was also looking to take that GU long position as well, just so you can gauge my thought process when looking to use 2 pairs together as confluence, when both pairs look to trade into an area of interest where I'd be looking to take positions. Once we have that reaction from both areas as well, I am almost forced by my trading strategy to take the positions once they align. But most importantly, GU, we had what I consider a 5-minute break of structure. Also, if you were to go down to the 1-minute break of structure, that would be exaggerated, and as well we would have the confluence, if I were to go down onto that 1-minute time frame, that indeed we do also have a 1-minute break of structure. Nevertheless, I didn't feel it necessary at this time, because as I say, we've got all of the confluences aligning. We are aware that we have tapped into that 15-minute order block, refined within a 4-hour order block. We are within the area of the 4-hour wick imbalance that closed as a result of the previous 4-hour candle closure. And again, just to add to the confluence, we know we are in the region of that previous daily low, in and around that area. So everything is shaping up for a potential long position from that area, so long as confluence continues in line with the entry criteria. Now that 5-minute break of structure then left a 5-minute order block behind. And to be quite honest, that was one of the easier positions today without having to go down to the lower time frames. A limit order was then set on the retest of that 5-minute order block. I then covered the equilibrium at the very least of the 15-minute order block, which was already mitigated, as you can see on the tap here, and also the fact that we had already retested and engulfed the previous daily low as a result of all of these candles here below this line, which is indicated previous daily low. My theory and my bias was price should not be going any lower if the daily range had already been met. So if we were to draw an illustration for you to have a nice look at that, so that's the previous daily candle, and the current daily candle had done this, and I'm now expecting the current candle to do something along those lines, of which you can see as a result of the current daily candle, it has done exactly that. So it's filled that wick, even more so created a longer wick, and here it is in terms of my awful illustration. So that builds the picture in terms of what I was looking for and what we have at the moment. Now, in terms of my management, I'm forced to manage the trade by the 4-hour 50 EMA because, as we will see going back to that 4-hour time frame, the previous candle closed below. So simply, in terms of respecting all EMAs as I do across the time frames, I expected a bit of reaction there. However, I've done the majority of the work as an intraday trader, and I see no reason to leave all of money or all of my money on at this position here. So a proportion of my trade has been closed, and I'll be disciplined in waiting for Asia to fill to complete the job as an Asia fill trade, before then hoping for price to tap in to my higher probable area for the turnaround short in line with previous daily highs, weekly 50 EMAs, 4-hour order blocks refined already, 15-minute order block waiting for much of the same in terms of formations and price action there. If we were to superimpose that there, then I'd be looking at in the opposite direction, of course. I'd be looking for the short in line with that. So my name is Charles. In line with Fergrant Daily Chart Analysis, I hope the breakdown is of hand to you all. Enjoy the rest of your trading day. That is me pretty much done for today with EG rolling currently in both positions, both locked off at break even, and positions on this trade in particular have been managed, and GU longs is also paying the bills today. So that is me done for trading today, and I hope you're in both positions also, collecting some profits along the way, paying yourself, and then just staying disciplined in terms of waiting for price to hit full take profits. Thank you very much for listening. As I always say, I do hope these breakdowns help. More of them tomorrow, perhaps later on. Do take care in the immediacy. All the best. Charles Fergrant, Daily Chart Analysis.